In my first few years as a urologist, I followed the standard playbook. I prescribed the medications, I recommended the lifestyle changes, and I sent men home with the same advice I'd been taught. But I started noticing something that didn't fit the pattern I expected. A handful of my patients were improving noticeably faster than others with the same age and the same initial complaints. Their nighttime trips to the bathroom were dropping. Their stream pressure was returning. And they'd tell me almost shyly that something else was waking up too. These men were not on different medications, and their charts didn't look special. So I started asking a different set of questions. What I uncovered in those conversations changed the way I practice. And tonight, I want to share it with you because it's something you can do in your own kitchen starting tonight. I'm Dr. Catherine Roker, a board-certified urologist and men's health specialist. I've spent over 15 years sitting across from men who are quietly worried about their prostate, their blood flow, and the slow changes in their body that nobody wants to talk about. If you've ever felt that uncomfortable mix of frustration and concern, I need you to hear this. You're not alone, and there's more you can do. If this kind of direct clinical insight is something you wish your own doctor would share, tap the like button so more men can find this information and let me know in the comments how old you are and where you're watching from tonight. I do read through them, and it helps me understand who I'm reaching. The common thread I found in those patients who got better faster was surprisingly simple. Every single one of them was taking a spoonful of olive oil at night, just like you might be doing, but they weren't taking it alone. They had stirred in 3 specific spices. At first, I thought the olive oil was the hero, but the more I tracked the outcomes, the clearer it became that the olive oil was just the vehicle. Without those 3 spices, the oil was crossing into the bloodstream, carrying nothing of real value. Many of the most powerful natural compounds that fight inflammation and relax blood vessels are fat-soluble. If you swallow them with a glass of water or on an empty stomach without any fat, very little of it actually reaches the tissues that need help. But when you combine those compounds with a healthy fat like extra virgin olive oil, they bind to the oil and pass through your intestinal wall directly into your bloodstream. The olive oil is essential, but it's not the medicine. It's the delivery system. And without the right cargo, that spoonful you've been taking is mostly just passing through. Let's talk about that cargo. Starting with turmeric. Turmeric contains curcumin, which is one of the most potent natural anti-inflammatories I've ever studied. It works by calming down a master inflammatory switch in your body called NF-kappa B, the same pathway that keeps prostate tissue swollen and pressing on your urethra. But there's a catch I see too many men miss. Curcumin on its own is terribly absorbed by your body. I've had patients tell me they took turmeric capsules for months and noticed absolutely nothing. The reason is that without the right helper, less than 1% of the curcumin you consume ever makes it into your blood. That helper is black pepper. Black pepper contains a compound called piperine, and piperine slows down how quickly your liver breaks down curcumin. It keeps curcumin in your system long enough to actually reach the prostate tissue and begin cooling that inflammatory fire. Next is cayenne, and this one operates on a completely different clock. Cayenne's active compound CAPTIA works with sensors on the inner lining of your blood vessels called TRPV1 receptors. When CAPTIA gently activates those sensors, your vessels release a surge of nitric oxide, the molecule that tells them to relax and widen. That's not a slow, multi-day process. Many men notice a subtle warmth spreading through their hands and feet within 30 to 60 minutes of taking it. That warmth is a sign that blood is moving more freely into the smaller vessels, including the ones that supply the pelvic floor. But here's something I always warn my patients about. If you take cayenne powder straight without the buffer of olive oil, it can irritate your stomach lining and cause real discomfort. Then there's the third spice, fenugreek, and I think of it as the quiet architect of the group. Fenugreek doesn't produce a fast, dramatic sensation the way cayenne does. Instead, it works slowly and steadily on the underlying hormonal and metabolic conditions that allow the inflammation to build up in the first place. Fenugreek contains compounds that support healthier testosterone metabolism and improve how your body responds to insulin. When insulin sensitivity improves, Your blood vessels become less stiff and more responsive to nitric oxide over time. That means the gains you start to feel from cayenne and turmeric don't fade after a few weeks. They actually strengthen. One patient told me he didn't feel anything dramatic from fenugreek, but about 5 weeks in, he realized he hadn't thought about his prostate in days. The constant urgency had simply faded. That's the quiet repair fenugreek delivers, and it's why I never leave it out. One note of caution with fenugreek because it does have a mild effect on blood sugar. If you're on diabetes medication, you should have a conversation with your doctor before adding it to your routine. For most healthy men, this is a safe, gentle, and deeply supportive spice. But here's what took me a few years to fully understand. These 3 spices don't just sit alongside each other in the olive oil. They create a time sequence that matches how your body actually repairs itself. And the way they work together is the part most men never hear about. When you stir cayenne, turmeric, and fenugreek into that spoonful, you're not making a random mixture. You're building a repair crew with 3 different shifts. Cayenne works the first shift, triggering the nitric oxide release that opens your vessels within the hour. Turmeric clocks in for the second shift over the following days, steadily lowering the background inflammation that keeps your prostate swollen. Then, fenugreek takes over the long shift, gradually restoring the metabolic and hormonal balance that stops the inflammation from coming back. The olive oil carries all 3 into your bloodstream, and the black pepper makes sure turmeric actually gets absorbed. If you remove any piece, the sequence breaks. Oh, without cayenne, you lose that immediate opening surge and the vessels stay tight. Without turmeric, the chronic fire in the prostate keeps burning. And without fenugreek, the whole system slowly unravels because the underlying metabolic conditions never get corrected. I've watched this play out in my practice enough times to know that the combination in the right ratios and at the right time does something each spice alone simply cannot do. Now, I want to protect you from the mistakes I've seen men make with this protocol. These come straight from follow-up visits where a patient told me he tried something similar and it didn't work, or worse, it made him uncomfortable. The first mistake is taking cayenne without the olive oil buffer. I had a gentleman a few years ago who read about cayenne's benefits, stirred a spoonful into water, and burned his throat and stomach so badly he couldn't sleep. The oil isn't optional. It coats and protects your stomach lining while the cayenne does its work. The second mistake is using hot water or warm tea to wash the mixture down. Heat destroys the delicate anti-inflammatory compounds in the olive oil and the curcumin and turmeric. Room temperature always. Another mistake is taking it right after a heavy evening meal. When you eat a large dinner, especially one with bread, pasta, or dessert, your body releases a surge of insulin. That insulin spike directly blocks the nighttime repair pathways we're trying to activate. The protocol works best when your stomach is relatively quiet, about 30 to 60 minutes before bed. And please don't skip the black pepper. I've said it before, but I'll say it again because it's that important. Without piperine, your body metabolizes curcumin so quickly that almost none of it reaches the prostate. The pepper is not a garnish. It's the key that unlocks turmeric's full value. One more note about amounts. More is not better with cayenne. A 4 teaspoon is enough. Doubling it won't double the benefit. It'll just double the chance that you lie awake with a burning sensation instead of drifting into the deep sleep this protocol is meant to deliver. To put it all together tonight, you'll need 1 tablespoon of high-quality cold-pressed extra virgin olive oil. Check that it comes in a dark glass bottle and look for a harvest date within the last year. That's how you know the oil is still alive with the compounds you need. Add half a teaspoon of organic turmeric powder, 1 to 4 teaspoon of organic cayenne powder, 1 to 4 teaspoon of organic fenugreek powder, and a small pinch of finely ground black pepper. Stir it together in a small bowl or right on the spoon until it forms a thick paste. Take this mixture at room temperature, 30 to 60 minutes before you go to bed. Make sure you haven't eaten a heavy meal for at least 2 hours beforehand. That's the simple nightly commitment. In the first 3 nights, the changes are subtle. Some men notice a gentle warmth in their hands and feet within an hour of taking the mix, and their sleep feels deeper, less fragmented. That warmth is the cayenne opening your peripheral circulation, and the deeper rest is the first sign that systemic inflammation is beginning to cool. By the second week, turmeric's Steady anti-inflammatory work starts to show. Nighttime bathroom trips often drop from 3 to 1 or disappear entirely for some men. The force of your urine stream begins to return. These are signs that the prostate tissue is releasing its grip on your urethra as the inflammatory pressure comes down. Around the 30-day mark and beyond, fenugreek's long-term metabolic effects become noticeable. Blood vessel stiffness begins to reverse. Insulin sensitivity improves. Many men report the return of morning erections, which is a reliable sign that pelvic blood flow is being genuinely restored, not just temporarily boosted. Let me give you 3 simple questions to ask yourself each morning as you track your progress. First, did I feel a gentle warmth or relaxation in my body within an hour of taking the mix last night? Second, did I get up fewer times to urinate than my usual pattern, or did my sleep feel deeper even if I still got up once? Third, over the past week, have I noticed my morning energy or firmness starting to return? These 3 questions will tell you honestly and privately whether the protocol is working at each layer. Now, there's one more thing I recommend to support everything this nightly protocol is trying to do. The moment you wake up tomorrow before a coffee, before breakfast, pour yourself a large glass of warm water and stir in the juice of half a lemon and a good pinch of unrefined sea salt. The lemon stimulates your liver to release bile, which helps flush out the inflammatory waste products your body processed overnight, including the spent curcumin and capsaicin in your liver worked through while you slept. The salt replenishes over 80 trace minerals you lost during the night and keeps your blood volume balanced so your vessels stay relaxed and open through the morning. Think of it this way. The nightly spice protocol starts the repair work from the inside. The morning water and lemon clears the byproducts of that repair so they don't resettle in your tissues. Together, they form a complete daily rhythm that supports your prostate and your blood vessels from both sides. I've seen this combination change the trajectory for men who thought their slow decline was just part of getting older. But there's another piece to the puzzle. This protocol works from the inside out through your bloodstream. To fully reset your pelvic health, I also guide my patients through a technique that works from the outside in, strengthening the muscles and nerves that directly control your stream and your prostate function. If you want the full picture, click the video on your screen right now and I'll walk you through the exact morning pelvic reset I teach my patients.